name is Kelly Wolf, and you're watching Cole's Epilogue. Let's get into it. A new day, and another visit to your wedding manor came down the rushing river. That was your life at this time. Yuko and Baxter were sailed into the same spot that the appointment prior. But there wasn't any of that initial shock. Instead, things started off with a simple greeting. Hey, we have a wedding party now. Everyone we wanted accepted. Oh, you worked faster than I do. Wonderful. I'll check it off, and we can move on, and we can move fully forward. I hope you're excited. I can take it or leave it. Coast sighed in an affectionate, long-suffering way. I am, anyways. Well, he pulled out his pen while crossing his legs in a fluid motion. Our company has its own house photographer for your event, so that's taken care of. But there's meal catering, cake, any other dessert you want. And cake! Baxter coyly grinned at the abrupt interruption and bothered. I'm sure you'll get your treat then. Along with those are the outfits for you both, and you'll naturally need to decide where the ceremony and reception will be held. If you're feeling unprepared to make a call on any of that now, we could always start with the dance lessons. What are you feeling? Knowing where the wedding's gonna be is pretty important to get done, but on the other hand, it's such a big thing, it's kind of intimidating to think about. Cove tilted his head back and forth, mentally working through his opinion on the matter. Baxter watched the struggle for the moment before bringing it back up. And Callie, any thoughts for your to-be husband? We could decide the venues now. It shouldn't be put off longer.
Yeah.
And Baxter rubbed his hands together and grinned at you.
Absolutely.
Alright, now again serious. Gove gulped, his apple briefly retreating up to his chin, as if afraid, but he nodded his assent.
Alright.
Yeah, that's right. We should decide this. His eyes met yours and he bobbed his head again. Let's do it. He sat up straight, your back tearing away from the comfort of the sofa's cushioning, as you readied yourself for such a critical discussion in your wedding preparation. Here we go! Good. There are stunning buildings in the area which can be used for private locations, but have since opened up specifically for wedding ceremonies for any couple who'd like to make use of them. Naturally, there are plenty of commercial locations which can easily host a full-sized after-party for your reception. His mouth twitched into a sly smile. Or, if you prefer something outdoors, there's always the beach. He chuckled, fully aware of what an obvious suggestion that was for his current clients. You could go to a spot that could host both parts of the wedding, so it's entirely in one location. But there's no harm in making a little trip from the ceremony to the wedding reception. From the ceremony to the reception afterwards either. It's entirely up to you. He held up a hand stopping himself mid-blow, but continuing to smile wryly. But I don't wish to get carried away in a preamble. Where would you like us to start? He leaned in, still planning on missing one word. The hand which he held up in the air now popping up his chin. That is such a Baxter thing. I'm glad he hasn't changed. I want to know what Cove would prefer. Oh, then if nobody cares, I'd like to talk about the location of the ceremony. Cove bit his lip, weaving his fingers together on his lap. When he spoke again, his voice was soft and sweet, but a little sheepish. That's what I'm most excited about. Gladly. He relaxed back into his rolling chair, then took out a phone with one hand while extracting a pen with his other.
I can do that.
I've got photos of places I mentioned to let you actually get a feel for the scene. And Baxter tapped away at his screen, pulling out the previews of potential ceremony locations for your wedding. While he was partially preoccupied with that, he rattled off the specific kind of locations he could use. So there's a few spots I'd like to show you. As mentioned, that was formerly privately owned, as well as a church, a mosque, or a synagogue in the same vein. That's the beach, as always, or perhaps a different outdoor spot. The Cove's eyes darted to Baxter, and back to you as he spoke attentively. You're allowed to mention our own ideas for places? Baxter nodded amiably.
Certainly.
Certainly. What do you have in mind? Well, he was looking down at his shoes as he spoke, taking a deep breath. He glanced over at you. Does the Bobby know? You grinned sheepishly as you rubbed the back of your head, but the staring rolling of shared story made sense. Cove, still flustered, returned the awkward grin. He was clearly pleased to see that you'd been happy with his suggestion. He turned back to Baxter. It's where we first met.
That's sweet.
That's sweet. He tilted his head away and closed his eyes. I remember seeing you when I was there. Cove's gaze was fixed on Baxter with rapt attention, awaiting his verdict. It's rather small and round. Cove deflated his shoulders sagging, and Baxter opened his eyes again and continued. But if you don't mind your guests having to stand, there's not enough room for chairs. We could still set up a simple ceremony there. Cove chuckled as he straightened up in his seat. It could be worse. The confidence had been restored to him, having Baxter take his suggestion seriously, and even offer ways to accommodate it, helped put Cove at ease. Then he checked over to you. We don't have to do that, though. If always what you want, there's another option.
Does that sound alright?
I know a bigger, fatter field of those flowers in the Sunset Bird area. It'd be spacious enough to have a full setup there. Oh! Rose sliced it up in recognition. I know the one you mean! His expression turned dreamy, and he lowered his voice to whisper. It's a beautiful place. He was reminiscing about that day years ago when you'd taken him there as a surprise. You recalled it vividly. From how hard he tried to surprise you, to the way you turned the tables on Cove that morning, and brought him to the white field of poppies. Thinking on it made your heart swell. The passion from that day stirred once more. Your younger self had longed to make Cove happy. You were glad to see that they succeeded. Looking at Cove, his expression tender, you could see the victory continue to this day. Very nice. Then Cove jotted in his seat, his head snapping up as another idea came to him. Are people allowed to have weddings or whatever in the Redwood Forests? You know, it's kind of farther away. It's an amazing place to be in. He settled down into warm nostalgia. We made some good memories there, and Baxter nodded surely. That's an option for sunspots. We could get it set up, if you want. Cove grinned delightful. Cove grinned delighted. Baxter spread his hands wide, holding a pen in his phone with his fingers, so you could see the palms of each hand.
Well.
Those are the ideas that sound like. Tell me, what's standing out the most to you? The whole field outside of town. Baxter made a ring with his finger and thumb, as he gave you an OK sign. It took him a while to find a good photo. That was fast, and it wasn't a venue that he had initially suggested. But he soon turned his phone towards you and go for an inspection.
I remember.
Yeah, that's it. Cove's tone was as gentle as the lazy summer breeze. That's the place Callie took me to because they wanted me to be happy. For a moment, he simply gazed at the nostalgic scene with misty eyes. I'll always be thankful for that. I'm so lucky we can still be together, and we'll always be together. I'll never stop trying to make you happy, Cove. Cove beamed at you in response. Slowly, Cove managed to tear himself away from the screen, and his thoughts, when he turned to face you, he cocked his head to the side, wanting to know what you were feeling about the prospect. Okay, let's talk about another. Near the beach. You saw Baxter pause over his phone for just a second. In that moment, you could read his mind. You and Cove knew every inch of the beach in far more detail than even the best photography could capture. So, for the sake of what must be his normal protocol, he brought a nice picture of the local shore for you and Cove to examine. Cove replied promptly. I love it. Huh, performing a beach? That's crazy. Cove glanced down demurely and scratched his cheek. You spent so many days there growing up in Sunset Bud, and so many of those were with me. It's definitely a place with history for us. Max was smart. If you went with this spot, it wouldn't be the first little party I've had with you on the show. Oh yeah. The Cove smiled nostalgically at that memory as that memory came back to him.
I remember.
We got together with pretty much everyone and hung out all day that one summer. That was nice. It was. It would be wonderful to have more days like that. Baxter's smirk mellowed into an easy smile as the diversion came to a close. Yep, I think this is the one. Ian? Cove's eyebrows rose in response to your statement. The beach. His wavy brows relaxed, sloping gently as he smiled softly. I would love that. It'd be perfect for the two of us. Your body tried to gasp and laugh in excitement at the same time, resulting in a short, breathy snort followed by an exhilarated giggle. We're gonna have a beach ceremony.
Exciting.
That's exciting. He smiled indulgently, like a teacher allowing the class to a moment of longevity before bringing them back to their studies. Before you get fully carried away, there's still the reception location to consider. Baxter glanced down at his phone, nodding, almost impassively, as he clicked away to get the information he needed. There's a couple of big halls you could consider. One is frequently used for dances, and another for formal events. There's also a large room in the historic mansion that could host the reception. The same one as I mentioned before. A rather new option is the aquarium in the city over, which now has the bandwidth to host private events. Of course, Cove's jaw dropped as he uttered a single word.
Seriously?
Really? Really. It'd be in the main display room with the floor-to-ceiling tanks. His mouth continued to hang open, his face frozen. It was certainly a rare opportunity, and he couldn't think of anyone who would be excited as that option as Cove. As such, the news had temporarily stunned him. All at once, he blinked rapidly, closing his mouth in a hurry. Her attention returned to Baxter. The aquarium was certainly an option to keep in mind, but there were many other appealing choices to consider.
Of course.
Or, of course, if you wanted something outdoors, there's always the beach. Of course. Even though you didn't want to use a redwood forest for your ceremony, it could also work as a reception, so you're welcome to keep it in mind as an option. Like before, if there's anything you want to bring up yourself, that's perfectly fine. In fact, I recommend it. He passed his lips as he dug around in his mind, pondering the possibilities as the thought struck him. He shifted to face you. What about that country club your mom's a part of? He snapped his fingers over and over, trying to dredge the name back up to his tongue.
Right.
They had their anniversary dinner there. You know the one? He closed his eyes, brow furrowed deeply, as he tried to recall it. He was torn on whether or not to bail him out, before he came to the decision Baxter called on and filled in the blanks. Ah, yes. Cyprus, I believe. He nodded. Baxter returned the gesture as Cove opened his eyes again, looking both relieved and like victory had been swiped from under him.
It's doable.
They would absolutely be able to host your reception, especially since your family are already members. Cove beamed. It's cool if we go with one of the other things. I just thought it was an idea. I agree. It was a smart suggestion, and I have no doubt they would be able to do an excellent job if you chose them. But it's really what feels comfortable for you. Baxter leaned in, touching his pen on the knuckles of his left hand. He was still holding his pen and phone, ready to leap into action.
What do you think?
What's holding the most interest for you right now? We can talk it over. Reminisce on. Baxter brought the website for the Cypress. Baxter brought up the website for the Cypress and presented the screen to the both of you. Though you've been there many times with your family over the years, still appreciate him making the effort. Having recent photos of it made it easier for you to eye it critically and consider what it'd be like as a venue for your reception, rather than relying relying on the cloudy lens of nostalgia. That's why we met for the very first time. He smiled nostalgically. Such lovely memories. Cove shook his head, staring at Baxter. I still can't believe that. What are the odds? The conversation distracted you. It was only when Cove raised an eyebrow at you, interested on your take, the Cypress as a venue, that made you remember there was a decision waiting to be made. I feel like that's gonna work. What do you think, Cove? Cove lifted an eyebrow thoughtfully. The country club for our reception. His voice tilted at the end, as though he was asking a question, but he didn't need to expect an answer. Rather, it was as though he was contemplating the feel of the words on his tongue, checking that they felt right as a final test. Cove broke into a grin. I think you're right. It would match with us for sure. You've been holding your breath as Cove mulled over the venue one last time. You let out a sigh of relief. You'd already been picturing the day with your reception here, and now that Cove had confirmed they felt the same, the tension drained out of you as swiftly as it had come. Your energy was mounting. The venues picked, your idle daydreams of the big day moved from hazy imaginings to sharp clarity. The excitement radiating off you and onto Cove. He pulled himself closer to you on the sofa, your legs brushing against each other. Sensing that his audience was becoming distracted, Baxter quickly spoke up. A ceremony at the beach and a reception at the country club after. Looking thoughtful, Baxter tapped his pen against the side of his desk. Your eyes were drawn to the source of the noise. He held his hand as if to pull it once more, the pen idly rolling between his finger and thumb, then he smiled.
Perfect.
Sounds like a wedding. I'll make it happen. The Cove spun to face you, his eyes alight with glee. You got your wedding locations. You felt every thump of your heart beating in your chest. It was a thought so simple, and yet so monumental, that you were struggling to accept it all at once. You knew where your wedding was going to be. You leaned over and kissed Cove's cheek. Your lips lingered on his skin for a moment, yet Cove was still flushed when you pulled away. The sudden display of affection had caught him by surprise. Thank you, Baxter. His expertise had helped you and Cove enormously. Cove chuckled at your words. Gazing into his eyes, you knew that it was all you could think about was the day that you'd just taken another step towards planning. Reviewing the venue options, taken up the bulk of your allotted time with Baxter. You would now need to reach out to the locations managers and make the arrangements. But so you came to a mutual agreement that you'd end up here, and I'm taking care of matters right away. Goodbyes followed, then you and Cove giddily left the office and spilled out onto the streets together. It was a great way to end that day's work. You and Cove arrived at Baxter's office on the dot of the allotted time. Emotions were still high from the preparations from the previous day. After having settled down as the process had gone on, Cove's nerves had shot back to their initial appointment levels. Greetings were exchanged, and Baxter didn't leave a space open for Cove to get lost in. Your planner went right to the point. What shall we be doing today? I feel like we should begin the dance session.
Exciting.
Oh, you wanted to get started on that? Exciting. Baxter gestured down to the door in the space, rolling his wrist to point with his whole hand in the extravagant gesture. There's a room here in the building you can use for dance lessons. I'll need to schedule it, of course, but we need to be certain there won't be any conflicts. If you could wait a moment, please. He pulled out his phone, swiped his finger a few times, his brow furrowed as he checked some sort of calendar. He tapped it with a flourish and looked up with a grin. Cove watched with open enviousness. Cove and I can attend lessons in the afternoon. Then, Callie, we can have the evening. I believe I can pencil us in as early as tomorrow for the first sessions. Happily, there is enough vacancy in the event room for individual sessions. One-on-one lessons are ideal for this. Every person is at their own level, and will need guidance with different aspects. I can get everything arranged today, if that works for you. Cove nodded seriously. There was no hesitation coming from his corner, despite the jitteriness. Let's do it. You showed Cove and Baxter please thumbs up. Yeah, that's good. Baxter placed the phone down to clasp his hands together. His enthusiasm was hard to miss.
Excellent.
Excellent. I'll make it happen. And he did. Baxter made the necessary arrangements right afterwards. He asked for your input occasionally and finalized the times. He planned each detail out exactly. Any specific idea that Cove or you had was jotted down and added to the considerations. What kind of music are you thinking of? Would you rather go with something fast or something slow? Doesn't have to be ballroom stables, I'm more varied than that. The recent wedding I helped with went with classical music for the first half and early 2010s. Jazz music for the last half. No wrong answer to this. Cove shrugged and left space for you to answer.